Well, the Israeli Knesset has passed the first in a series of controversial reforms aimed at weakening the powers of the courts. This despite weeks of sustained mass protests against the overhaul. The bill passed in the end 64 votes to 0 after the opposition boycotted the vote. Here is the moment that it passed.
Following are the vote results. 64 in favor, no objections, no abstentions. I hereby determine that the fundamental law suggestion, Amendment number 4, has passed its third reading and is written into the Book of Laws. This meeting is adjourned.
Well, that was the situation in the parliament just a few short hours ago. Well, our Pia Steckelback is in Tel Aviv, where protests have been centred for the past 29 weeks. Our Hamza Salhout, meanwhile, is outside the Knesset in Jerusalem, where some of the protesters have been camped out since Saturday. And Hamza, the capital appears to have become the centre of the movement right now. What is happening where you are as night falls?
Laura, good evening. Demonstrators have been here since Saturday after a lot of them actually marched from Tel Aviv to here. Behind me is a sea of blue and white. As you can see, this has been the spectacle, the scene for the last few days as demonstrators are taking a stand against the government's judicial overhaul. Now, earlier in the day, protesters did break into Begin Road. That is one of the main highways in Jerusalem that connects a lot of the major towns to the capital here. Police using riot dispersal methods like water cannons and for the first time using the skunk water on demonstrators to try and clear that road. Some are saying that police are actually not using enough force, while the other side of the aisle is saying police are using too much force. We actually spoke to the international spokesperson for Israeli police, Dean Eldun, on all of this. Take a listen.
The police are going to use all the techniques and the strategies at their disposal, but it's not really to disperse the protesters. It's more to ensure that it doesn't get to the level of violence or vandalism that we've seen that led to 19 arrests. You know, we want on one hand to ensure the freedom to protest, but we draw a line when it comes to disorderly conduct, when it comes to harming each other, disrespecting people. We're going to do whatever it takes to ensure a peaceful environment for everybody coming today.
Look, the demonstrators are saying that this is only the beginning, and the Israeli government, the coalition itself, is saying that this bill is the first of many that they'll pass in the judicial overhaul. Don't forget, there are a lot of parts to the judicial overhaul to strip the judiciary of its power. This is one of many, and the demonstrators are saying that now they're really going to gear up. The protests are going to get bigger, they're going to get louder, and they're going to be more consistent. When we spoke to demonstrators earlier, we actually found a lot of them in tears because they were saying this is the end of Israel as they know it. Yesterday, speaking to opposition lawmakers, they're saying that they're going to continue to fight and they're going to continue to push forward legislation that they think is right, since a compromise wasn't able to be met this time. Laura.
Hamza, thank you very much indeed. Hamza Salhout there outside the Knesset in Jerusalem. Well, Tel Aviv was the birthplace of the anti-government movement, and it is where the protests have been centred over the past 29 weeks. Our Pia Steckelback is down at Kaplan Street. Pia, what's happening? People getting ready for a big protest tonight?
Indeed, Laura, people are getting ready and people are still flocking here to Democracy Square, to Kaplan Road. Democracy Square, that square that has been just recently renamed in honor of the protest movement that really has its birthplace here in the city of Tel Aviv. The city has seen scenes like these only too much in the past 6 or more months. Since January, basically, people have been flocking, especially here to Kaplan Road, on a weekly basis. In recent weeks, even more. The city has seen days of disruption, and it feels like this is another day of disruption where really thousands of people started to come here about 2 hours ago. The protest movement then split up and different groups tried to go down to the Eilon highway, which you can see here in the background. People were playing a sort of a cat and mouse game with the police as they were trying to continue really to the Eilon highway and try to descend to it. We have seen quite lots of police forces trying to block exits as well as entries to the highway to safeguard the protesters, but to also try to safeguard the public order. Now, Laura, what we've also seen is border police forces being reinforced here. Those cars that were just passed here a couple of minutes ago, they were met with shame on you calls by the protesters here. We've also seen mounted police, and we do know that more protests are expected in the evening. We're talking about a protest in front of the American embassy, for example, another protest march of those fighting for women's rights, as the city of Tel Aviv, again, has been known for protests in the past really more than half a year. And protesters here, well, they tell you different things. They say that today indeed is a way of defeat, as a major part of the legislation, the judicial overhaul, has been passed today. So this is in a way defeat for the protest movement, but this is also a reason for them to indeed continue and to display more strength, especially now.